Welcome, everyone, to episode 369 of the Thumbstick Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
I'm Will.
I'm Val.
So today's topic is going to be about gaming and education. So my wife, for those of you that don't know, but I've talked about it before, but my wife she's in education. She was a teacher for a lot of years, and now she's in administration in a school district. And this is something that's near and dear to our hearts because of her being in education and growing up playing video games all the time, and me just playing video games all the time. And now our kids have gotten into playing video games all the time. So it's definitely a topic we talk about regularly. So that's going to be our main topic. I've been wanting to do this episode for a while now. Figured this week was a good time to do it. So Will, do you have anything you want to tease for later on in the episode?
I can mention why I only played a little bit of We Happy Few this week.
Okay. We had mentioned maybe doing that for this week, but we didn't, obviously.
Hint, it wasn't very good.
Oh, okay, I've heard that. I know it's been a while since you played it, too.
Yeah, I played it when it first went early access, and then I played it again recently. I'll save my opinions of it, but I'll probably very briefly talk about Dragon Ball Z Kai. I like kind of updating what I think of that, because I know we have some fans who prefer Dragon Ball Z Kai over the original series, so I'll be talking about that. More Octopath Traveler. That's it. I got to get back to Hollow Knight as well.
Yeah. I'm going to very briefly touch on Monster Hunter World, because we are going to do that for next week's episode. I played a few hours, so I can talk about my very brief first impressions of it. I do believe Corey's going to be on next week for the episode too, so because I know he's played a decent amount of it. So that'll be for next week. So yeah, I'm just going to touch on a few things that I noticed right off the bat. Also, before we get started, I did want to apologize for the quality of last week's episode. We have been having a lot of trouble with our internet. I made some tweaks to hopefully fix it. That was why it was a Skype connection issue, and the recording computer that I have over here is a separate Skype call. So we're running two Skype calls, and then the stream, it was just too much for our internet to handle, despite it being 2018. I don't get it.
I think a lot of televisions in our house were running at that time.
Well,
too.
yeah, we have Zach's got games on probably two, maybe three different televisions,
24/7,
all at the same time, and various devices. So, but it did make some tweaks. I actually took our repeater out that we had, and I ran a cable across the floor from my desktop to downstairs where the router's in like the basement hall type of thing. So
yeah, there's a big piece of huge blue tape in the middle of our floor.
Yep. For now, I'm gonna run it either run it through the floor or maybe throw a carpet through the hallway there, and so we don't notice that. But that should help. I also changed the DNS settings so it's a Google DNS, and that actually made a significant improvement in the speed and responsiveness of our internet. So if anyone has Spectrum internet and is having trouble with it, it still goes out occasionally, not nearly as much as it did. I think it dropped for a little bit this morning, but it used to be 2 or 3 times a day. It would drop out completely. Oh, yeah. I know, Will, you're probably still having that trouble.
Always. I reset it 3 times today.
Yeah. So that it's probably only dropped out twice since then. So hopefully we're good to go here. Yeah. But let's get into the main topic. So, gaming or education and gaming and education. So I wanted to. It's at least from what we've heard, it's had a bad rap in education. I know at least early on in your education training, like video games were railed upon, but I feel like things have changed since you've been doing your both your postgraduate and then your doctorate work. The perceptions kind of changed. So I wanted to just talk about that from like both the teacher's perspective and then like the higher administration perspective.
Sure. So I think definitely when I started my teaching career, back in 2006. Was when I, finished my undergrad degree in elementary education. I think back then it was very much frowned upon, and I know being a teacher for 8.5 years in a school district, it was constantly, all of the teachers were like, they're just going home and playing video games and they're not going outside. And I think that was the biggest argument, that video game time was taking away from the kids' opportunity to go outside. To that, I've always said that times have changed. And when these teachers were kids, they could safely go outside and play. And unfortunately, I worked in a really high-need school district, but I think it's the case across the board. Like, you can't just let your kids go outside and play by themselves anymore.
Not even in your own yard. I had the cops show up to our house because one of the neighbors across the street were letting their kids play outside unsupervised, and someone thought it was our house. I don't know if they got the address mixed up, but yeah, they were just playing out in their own yard because I saw them, but there was just no parent around.
Right.
So yeah, that is a huge issue.
Yeah. So I think, that was always the argument. But like I said, my response to that, especially working in the district where I worked, where it was literally not safe for the kids to even go outside with a parent, let alone by themselves. It's a form of social interaction. It's keeping them out of trouble. And, it's something for them to do. And I think, when I started my career, that was my argument. I think my argument has developed a little more over time. I think that, so I went to a training actually in the last couple of weeks, now that I'm in my new position, and they were talking about Blockbuster and how you don't want to be the Blockbuster of education. Like, you don't want to be the old artifact, in education. But there's always kind of this running joke that isn't actually very funny, that education is always behind the times, like by 10 years at least. So I feel like just now it's starting to creep in that maybe video games have got something going on here, when we've all known all along that video games have something going on here. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want me to get into that?
Yeah. Well, we could talk about how the perceptions kind of changed.
Okay, yeah.
Within the last 4 or 5 years, probably.
Yes, very much.
I mean, I know there's been people who have kind of been championing this stuff earlier, but but it's kind of taken root recently.
Yeah, I think it's people with common sense in education to realize that this is the world we live in now, and gaming's going to happen.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my thought too. It's almost unrealistic for an educator to assume that the kids are going to go home and play and be interacted with by their parents. A lot of kids go home and are alone for a while until their parents get home from work, or whatever the situation is, so that they play video games, and like you said, that keeps them out of trouble.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Well, I want to ask you this, Val, because as somebody who grew up with video games, it kind of blows my mind that people think that it's a negative, because video games contain tons of other pieces of media in it. I've always said it's one of the highest forms of art, because it has music, it has storytelling, it has interaction. You have all of these elements into one thing, and it really helps with creativity.
Artwork, yeah, there's artwork.
Yeah, artwork.
Yeah. One of the things I put in here is how they're still regarded by a lot of people as childish, which we know is not the case. For every I know Fortnite is kind of the big thing and the big target right now.
Yes, totally
is. It's a silly game. I'll give it that. But there is some benefits to it. But then there's games that have really deep storylines. There's games that are super hard puzzle games. There's any kind of they run the gamut of things that you want to do in a video game. And I feel like that gets glossed over.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah. I mean, to that, so I can say, there's always buzzwords in education, and right now it's 21st century skills and college and career readiness. Those are the big things, but under those buzzwords are the subcategories, and one of the big things is critical thinkers and problem solvers. And to me, you cannot, so to explain that a little bit more, it's basically giving students a problem, and you want them to be able to use multiple ways or multiple strategies or a unique way to them to solve a problem. Collaborative, there's a big push for collaboration, of course, too, but individuals as well. So you want them to get to an answer, that you want them to solve a problem. And I can't think of a better way for them to practice solving problems than in a video game. Because, I think of like watching our kids play Breath of the Wild, and the stuff that I have seen our son do, and even our daughter is 4.
Yeah.
And the stuff she's not afraid. They're not afraid to take risks. That's another big thing right now in education is we want risk takers. We want kids who are going to try something new. Well, they're trying something new. It's in video games. And we have to accept that. Like, it's okay. And, I get the whole they're sitting and they're not active. And I totally get that because I, want people to be healthy and active. We try to be healthy and active, but, you can't do that all the time.
Yeah.
And video games, is a place to do the problem solving and the critical thinking and all of those things that everyone in education wants right now.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at kids like trying to be active and that sort of thing, that a lot of this is stuff they pick up from their parents. Mm-hmm. So if their parents aren't doing, because you need a healthy balance of being, playing and then playing, being able to play video games.
Absolutely.
It's like with anything, you can't have way too much of one or the other. But I think a lot of kids pick up from their parents, like your children have picked up, playing video games because you guys have played video games, stuff like that. I feel like with a lot of parents, they're just very lazy and aren't active with their kids.
Yeah. It's, I think too, I think video games take a lot of blame for some issues that arise in education, such as parenting, lack thereof. I think that, it's like, you can't blame a person, so you blame you blame the video games, but that's just kind of a secondary thing to what actually might be happening. Because it's so true. I mean, with us, like, they see us play games, and that's great, and they enjoy them, but, they see us work out, too, and, like, we do that, too. So it's finding a balance. It's not like we're like, okay, everybody, let's sit down and get our controllers and play for the next 7 hours. It's not like that. We do other things. Just because we're a gaming family doesn't mean it's all we do.
I feel like people just think because you're a gaming family, it would be all the time. Like, people, for whatever reason, don't see the gray. They're always like, it's either black or white,
Yeah, exactly.
That's in everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play nearly as many games as I would like to. But, I play when I can. And another thing that I think a lot of people are missing is the family bonding time. Like, we all play Mario Kart together, which is a lot of fun. It's something the kids can have fun doing. It's going to get to the point where they're not going to want to do stuff with us. But if we're playing their favorite video games with them, they're more likely to want to do stuff with them. Yeah. I think you were talking about, on listening to 31 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman, and talking about Fortnite. He's like, I'm just probably going to end up learning how to play Fortnite so I can spend time with my kids.
Exactly. It was his way in, and you think about like adolescents and teenagers, and the last thing they want to do is hang out with their parents, but that's a way in, that's a way to connect with kids. And I think in the classroom that can be the same thing. Like, I remember when I was teaching and I told my students, like, I had played some video game, you could have heard a pin drop in my room. They were like, you play video games? Like, you're a teacher. How can you do that? And I'm like, no, I use some of my free time to play video games, and that's okay. It's who I am. And they were just like blown away by that. It was just so uncommon for them to hear something like that coming from a teacher. So yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So one thing you talked about that I was really interested in, I think I did mention this on the podcast months ago, but the person that talked about games and how they open one up to learning.
Yeah. So I believe it was James G. If you are interested in the topic of gaming and education, James G is your go-to. He is the main researcher in this field right now. And it's G, just G-E-E is his last name. Yeah, he talks about so many things with video games about it opens you up to learning, and it just gets you thinking about things in a different way that I think in school it's hard to capture sometimes that thinking because there's 22 kids in a classroom and, you can't appeal to everyone's interests all the time. Whereas a video game, it's a choice, you're choosing to explore this world. So yeah, and James G talks about a ton. Do you want me to mention a few?
Yeah. We'll talk about some of the games that he mentioned specifically in his research.
Yeah, Civilization.
Yeah, which I have going in the video.
Was a big one. He talks a lot about history and that history can be learned through video games like Civilization. Tactical things, again, critical thinking, thinking outside the box, all of those things. So he talked about that. He also really, really talks a lot about all of the game, like the online games that allow for social interaction. Again, referring to those kids that might not have the safest neighborhood to have social interactions. I know like our kids are excited if like they see you play Mario Kart online and there's like someone from a different country.
Yep.
It makes
whose
you
butt
think.
I usually kick.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. But it makes you think about different things. Like it just makes you think differently and it opens you up to learning and it's more appealing.
Yeah, so one thing you talked about, you mentioned Call of Duty.
Call of Duty was one. Mm-hmm.
The more historical ones being,
Right.
you hear of places and battles and stuff that they talk about in the game.
Right.
That when you're learning about that stuff in history class, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Stalingrad.
I know a
Yeah.
little. Yeah, exactly.
And you have
I
an
know a little bit
advantage.
about this, and so exactly, that's exactly right. You have a little bit of an advantage over the kids that are learning it for the first time because you played, you're familiar with like what was going on in the battle. Because a lot, even like a Call of Duty will explain the battle a little bit, but in like the intro or whatever,
Yep.
and what's happening and what some of the soldiers are going through. Obviously, it's not exact, but and then Civilization is another one. And it doesn't follow the path of history, but you're talking about civilizations. Your Rome, your Greece, your the Zulus,
Right.
Aztecs, all that stuff, as well
Ones
as
that you
like
need to
leaders from
Yeah.
those places that you can pick to play as. So
You
it's
learn
another way
that
to
Gandhi's
tie
a war aggressor.
Gandhi is very aggressive and kind of a dick in the Civilization games. He's a nuclear warmongering monster in Civilization.
For whatever reason.
I don't know if they do that as a joke.
I was gonna say that's got to be a joke, right?
I think the developers did that as a joke, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sure.
I will say though, from Age of Empires 2, I remember this very vividly. I don't remember what grade it was. It was either third, I want to say. But we're learning about the Aztecs, and the teacher wrote the capital on the board, and she asked if anybody could pronounce it. And because I had played Age of Empires and learned it was Tenochtitlan or whatever,
Yeah.
or it was around that, I was able to pronounce it the closest, and she was very impressed. And I was like, I got that from Age of Empires too.
Yep.
Yeah. You always have to like say that's where I got it.
Yep.
Give
Oh,
games some credit.
Give games some credit. Yeah.
Yep, because she's expecting nobody to come close to it, and then
Or
like,
you have an older brother that coached you up on the topic or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's from Age of Empires 2.
Yep. That's right.
So yeah, that's an example of that. Those type of games like actually really teaching you something.
Yeah.
in the classroom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think there's so many other games out there that like I'm drawing a blank on all of them right now, of course, but
That can teach you things.
yeah, I mean, games can teach you things, and I just think I can get up on my soapbox and talk all day. Dan knows that, but I think if we aren't realistic about this in education, we can say we don't like what video games are and whatever as long as we want. Like they have to come into play because they are kids' reality.
It's part of our culture at this
it is.
point.
It's part of our culture, and I mean, isn't it a bigger industry than the movie industry?
Yeah,
or
it's
close,
a huge industry.
Yeah, I mean, to just turn away from it because you don't like it or maybe you don't understand it. Maybe that's a lot of it too. Is there's just a misunderstanding of what video games are.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people probably think of just like Mario. And when you think of Mario, like you're just running around and jumping and squishing Goombas and whatever, but there is so much more out there that I'm sure people have no clue of the value that these games can really bring.
Even more, more so than Mario, but games like Grand Theft Auto, the more sinister type of games, or Call of Duty is often called into question,
Right, and I think, they'll grasp on, like people will grasp on to the one negative part, one or two like questionable games. There is a problem there because I had first graders playing Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like we should know that is not okay. But if it's Mario or Zelda or whatever, then that's reasonable. But yeah, it's just, being realistic.
Yeah. And video games also, like, it's not just people sitting around being lazy doing nothing. Like, a lot of the time, you play competitive games. Like, me and my friends the other day, I think it was Monday, we all got together and played NHL against each other. And, that, like, got the competitive edge going. And, like, it brings that side out of people, too. And, like, that's a lot of fun because you're getting that competition.
Yeah.
Which is something you don't always get while you're not being stimulated while sitting in a classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, all our old Halo tournaments were classic.
Oh.
Yeah.
We would spend an entire weekend, day and night, playing Halo for 48 hours or however long it was.
Yep.
I mean,
good
when
times.
the new Smash Brothers comes out, I took the weekend off and I'm going up to Corey's to play it with him and whoever else. Like that's what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay. Gamification.
Yes.
I'll let you handle that. I'm not totally clear on what that is. So.
Yeah. So I was really fortunate to, in my most recent doctorate class that I finished, we did a whole week on gamification. And we had a guest speaker come in. He was a middle school social studies teacher, I believe. And he has put a lot of time and effort into gamifying his curriculum. So basically what that means is he's using a video games as a model for how he teaches. So he, uses token systems, and if they get something right, he'll say like level up, or the kids have levels that they go through in their learning. It was so detailed. I was completely floored by how much effort he had put into it. But to go along with that, I was very fortunate. We had a very well-known person in education, Dr. Thomas Gusky. He came to our region last week, and I got to hear him speak. And he opened up with video games, and I texted Dan immediately. I was like, "Here we go. We got a video game starter. Like he's hitting the ground running with video games." And I was like, "Where is this going?" And Dan, of course, was like, "Good or bad? Good or bad? Like, what's happening? What's going on there?" Because it was a leadership academy, so it was all the school leaders from our entire region. So he started by saying, why are video games so popular? Like, I want you to think about that. Why are our kids going home and playing video games? And then he broke down how a video game works, and his argument was it's exactly how teaching should be. You start them off with success. Right off the bat, you give them a little trial that's very achievable, and you give them success, so they want to keep going and keep going. He talked about scaffolding, which is just, it's very controlled, and what you do and how you progress through the game is very controlled, but eventually, you become more independent over time. That's what scaffolding is. So it's, it's that we call it gradual release of responsibility. So, in games, you go through the tutorial phase and you're taught how to play the game, and then you get to the point where you're successful on your own. And he talked a lot about how education should be mirroring that. And so does James G. too, about, you have to help them find success, walk them through it, make sure they know how to do it, can be successful on their own, and then you let them go. And then you have trials and you take risks because you felt success early. And that's key. So it was really exciting to hear someone open his whole day with how we should really take some advice from the gaming world and put it into our education. So that's the gamification of education. When I first heard it, I thought maybe it was just putting video games in classrooms, but it's a lot more than that. It's a very thought out process of making your instruction be a video game. It's a living, real video game, and it's a lot of work. But it's really cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mm-hmm. Corey had mentioned before using, is it Life RPG, which is a similar idea in an app that you use to sort of progress yourself, by working on a skill or, something that you want to accomplish, and it gives you points and levels up. And there's a reward system built into it too. So if you reach a certain threshold or a level or whatever, you can reward yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, it takes some discipline to follow all that stuff, but I see the value there, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One person I wanted to mention, I think we talked about her a long time ago, is Jane McGonigal. This is not too closely related, but I felt like it was a good time to bring her up. and she's kind of pushing using video games to solve real world problems. So, I watched one of her TED Talks, and she talked about how many hours gamers have spent playing things like World of Warcraft, and how, if you could harness just a fraction of that time to work on actual like real world problems, that would be a great way to go. So her stuff is worth checking out. We have her book Reality is Broken, which I think you read, right? Or most of it.
Unfortunately, school has made me not enjoy reading as much as I used to. So I have not read it, but I have skimmed it, but it's been a while. So
okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about games as a profession type?
Yeah. So
stuff.
One thing I thought was interesting was, and we were just talking about this recently, but when we were in high school, I was obviously into video games at that point. But for me, like, working as a video game developer wasn't really something you did. Whereas I feel like now, more than ever, like with how big game studios are nowadays, and the huge push for indies, creative indies to come out, like making games as a developer is more attainable than ever. Especially now they're pushing like coding in schools. And then
right now.
Yeah, it's really
huge.
big. And then anything artistic that you do, if you do, if you do graphic design, or if you do, any kind of artwork, whatever, or music, like you can use that to get a job in the games industry, which we talked about earlier is a huge industry at this point. So
yeah, I think I can say, from my work now, I'm fortunate to be in administration because I have a bigger view of what's going on in schools. And I did say earlier, like education's 10 years behind, but we are catching up. And I think I have seen students who have been able to do YouTube videos as a final project, or record a podcast as part of their learning experience, or there's a big deal, I believe it's called the Hour of Code, and it's a time in New York when all the kids like stop and they get on a computer and they do coding. I think that what the problem is, I think right now is, especially where we are in New York State, there is so much policy around education, and there's so many requirements of schools and teachers and kids. And a lot of times those requirements don't necessarily match up with technology and like what's really happening. So to see and hear about teachers that are letting kids do YouTube videos to present a final project instead of a live presentation, letting kids animate things, really getting into the technology, it's great. Like it's thinking outside the box. It's getting kids this real world exposure that they aren't necessarily always getting because of the policy and things that are in place right now. So it's exciting to see.
I would kill for school to have taught me, video editing, making YouTube videos, like stuff like that. I would have killed.
Here's
Absolutely.
the thing, Will. We went to the wrong school for anything like that. I mean, I also went. It was almost 20 years ago now, so
yeah.
But yeah, we went to the wrong school for that. It's still that way to this day. So
it just sucks because like now that I'm getting into this form of media, doing podcasts, like having to edit audio, clip things together, like doing YouTube videos for people, like stuff like that. Like it's such a barrier for me because like I just don't have the time now to be able to do that. Like if I had learned that at a younger age, like I would be proficient at it at this point.
Yeah, I had to teach myself all of this stuff, and I obviously I have a lot to learn still.
Yeah.
But like you, it's a time thing. I kind of settle into what works and what's comfortable and what's easy. So once I get to there, I don't really like progress at all. I just kind of stagnate. So
yeah.
I think that's a big move in education right now is, we're not alone in that we didn't get taught how to do this stuff, so I think that's a really big focus. I know as a school administrator, that's something that I really would like to focus on, is getting teachers more comfortable with technology and how they can use it with their students, because when these, another big thing right now, a big topic is that, the college and career ready, that kids are not leaving high school ready to succeed in college.
Nope.
And so I think, that's a big part of it is this technology because, if they're going into like an engineering program or almost any program now, like they have to know how to use all of these technologies that, they might not have been exposed to. And that's like you said, it's a barrier. Like so I think there's a lot of work to be done about technology. And the trouble is that technology moves so fast.
Yeah.
And by the time we get teachers trained in something, it's going to be the next thing, So
they almost have to keep up on it on your own without needing the school to disseminate what's up and up right now,
Yeah, it's hard because like I know like so in our region we have some really really great technology support in the region. That's wonderful, but it's just getting it out there to everybody as quickly as we can, and it's hard because when you have just a few experts spread across a ton of school districts, that's a challenge, and that's something I'm challenging myself, is try to become more of an expert to help get this rolling, get it moving.
One thing I wanted to bring up too, and we touched on a little bit, is also as far as professions go in gaming, content creators. I think not just the big websites, your GameStops, your IGNs, they all have content and stuff, so that's something you could go for. But also like doing your own thing, having your own podcast, having your own YouTube channel where you create unique content or whatever.
Yeah,
that's a career. It's something you can do yourself in your bedroom.
That's all our son wants to do.
Yeah.
And like I really want to encourage him to do that, but it's hard.
It was funny because before we had kids, I read an article about how kids these days are going to be playing YouTube channel, whereas we would play like newscaster or weatherman or whatever. Kids nowadays are playing
so true.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yep, it's so true.
I
actually heard a group of teachers say. I wasn't in charge of the training, but I overheard a group of teachers say, what do you do when you have a class full of kids that all want to be YouTube stars? So it's happening. Like it's right now.
And on top of that, like when you're a teacher, what do you do when you have a YouTube or an Instagram star like in your class? Well, like they have a career already,
right?
And they're making more money than you are.
They should be teaching you things.
Yeah. So I got to see another speaker. I forgot about this one. George Kuros. He's out of Edmonton, actually.
Hey.
Yeah. He actually lives like 20 minutes from Allison. Crazy story. But anyway.
Hey.
Yeah. Where was I going with this? Oh, he was talking about Ryan's toy review. Ryan's Toys review. So it's this kid. He just plays with toys, and he has twin sisters. He is worth $11 million for playing with toys and posting videos.
We've watched a lot of Ryan's toy review in our day.
Yeah. And so it's like this is our culture right now. This is where we are. Like think of Disney Collector, which we watched hours of years ago. She's worth, is it like 20?
It's a lot. 21
million, I think, is the last number I heard. Like just she opens toys and records it on YouTube. So
that's absurd.
Yeah. So it's it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention, and then you can if you have anything you want to cover, we can cover it. Is that
so
esports is starting to be like an official college thing. I think it's only a matter of time before that filters down into high school. So I can imagine the way it's going to go is a school's going to have like a Dota club or a Overwatch club or what have you, and then that's going to turn into official, it'll be a high school sport.
Yeah.
Before too long.
It's actually already happening.
Oh, yeah?
I have read about it.
Okay.
There are parents, I believe George Kuros talked about it. I'm pretty sure he was saying that there are parents who are actually pushing for their kids to get college scholarships for that. And it's very much reality.
Well, the whole story, was it last week that this came into the modern, it became, people became aware of it, is that parents were getting their kids Fortnite coaches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very real.
Which everyone's like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. But I'm like, you know what? If your kid plays a lot of Fortnite and you're a parent that wants your kid to be good at whatever they're doing, then you would hire
Embrace
a Fortnite
it.
coach. Embrace it, yeah,
Embrace
because
it.
they can make something out of that,
What are these parents just like house Ninja for a couple weeks and then
I don't know how it works exactly, but
he teaches?
yeah. I don't know. I don't know who these Fortnite coaches are, but yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Eric
Yeah.
Homa.
Yeah, he's our resident Fortnite expert.
Yeah.
Found a new career.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like being in education right now, I feel like I need to play Fortnite. I don't always necessarily work directly with kids, but I'm housed in a middle school. And if I don't know Fortnite lingo and everything, like I need to know that. And because that's what
if
kids
you
are
ever
doing.
told a middle schooler that you play Fortnite, they would poop themselves.
Oh, they totally would. They totally would. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
it's
say you got a dub last night in Fortnite.
okay. Sounds good. I won't know anything past that, but no.
Dub is just like
No, I
a
really
W.
should.
A win.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally should, because it's
Fork knife.
just it's real life. If I worked with first graders and I've been out of the classroom for 2 years now. And even then, kids talked video games. It's what they did.
Well, talking to our son about games and the stuff that the games that he's heard about just from his friends in school.
Oh,
Fortnite is one of them. Undertale was one, surprisingly enough. One of his friends liked watching Undertale videos on YouTube, and I was like, "You're 7. How do you know what Undertale is?" Like that game just doesn't seem like it would appeal to a 7-year-old. But I mean, everyone has such different tastes.
Right.
Like,
But it's the whole video game thing. Like, it's the whole progression of it. It's that success piece and that taking risks without consequence. It's that it's their whole thing that they have going on.
yeah.
For sure.
All right. Anything else you wanted to talk about real quick before
Um.
we move on to the next segment?
No, I think I think for parents out there that are listening, I think it's good to know like what your schools are doing with technology. That's something that I would recommend. And I think schools listen to their parents, and if you are thinking, that there's something missing or, there's something, technology wise, just have your voice be heard, and you don't have to, raise a ruckus or whatever thing. I'm not saying like go march down to your school board and give them a piece of your mind, but I think it's good to know what your schools are doing with technology and gaming and, just kind of have an idea of what your kids are doing and talk to them about it, because it's, it's real life stuff and it's good to see it coming into schools. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's get into Nibble Shot. Are you going to take off, or are you going to stick around?
I didn't have a plan.
It's up to you if you want to stick around or if you
What
want to
time
get
is
the monsters to bed.
Yeah, I should probably get the monsters to bed. I don't
Okay.
really have anything going on.
Okay.
My new job is like wicked busy, and that's pretty much all I do. So I do that. I fight with the kids. I work out, and I go to bed. So
Yeah.
I have nothing to add. So thanks for having me on, and
Yeah, thanks for joining
bye
us.
everybody.
Good job, Val.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into Nibblebits. Will, what do you got?
So I was actually just talking before the podcast how there's just literally been nothing of interest been going on recently in gaming. The only thing that piqued my interest, Dan, I don't know if you ended up tweeting, it was the Diablo news.
Yeah, I did, actually.
You did tweet that? All right,
Yep.
so I'll leave that one for you.
No, you can talk about it. I got a couple others, so go for
Okay,
it.
so basically, Blizzard did confirm that Diablo 3 is going to be coming to the Switch later this year. $60, 60 frames per second. It's going to have Reaper of Souls and the Rise of the Necromancer. Yeah, it's going to be great. I will own it for the fifth time.
As well as exclusive content.
Yeah, isn't Ganondorf one of the outfits that you can...
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I'm not sure what specifically. But
That's incredible.
yeah, it is really incredible. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so I own it on PC. I've owned it on Xbox. I've owned it on PS4, Xbox One, and now it'll be on Switch.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
So I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's
Perfect game.
definitely an insta buy for me. I will be getting that, no question.
Yep. That's really it for me on Nibblebit. It's been pretty boring.
Yeah, Gamescom is coming up, I know, so I think a lot of the stuff is being saved for that, which is why we haven't seen too many other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple quick ones. It's that after a delay, Dark Souls Remastered is coming in October to the Nintendo Switch. So also with the Amiibo's part of
Ooh.
that. So very cool. And then another interesting tidbit about the new Doom game. So Doom Eternal is going to allow invasion of other players' games, similar to the way Dark Souls or Demon Souls works.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, I guess, invade as a demon, invade with multiple other players, and all attack the Space Marine, the main character in the game, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. They also announced that is also coming to the Switch, so people were a little bit surprised by that, but there it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's it for Nibblebits, short Nibblebits segment this week. Will, how was your week?
It's been good, Dan. I've been sleeping a bunch, playing some video games. I guess I can start talking about Dragon Ball Z Kai. Uh, I'm in the Cell Saga. I just started the Cell Saga. I want to say that, there's things that I don't like about Kai, like some of the voice changes, like Gohan, Android 18's voice actor changed too.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not a fan of that, but I'll tell you what, Kai did the Frieza Saga so good. Um, they cut out so much of the filler and the bullcrap that like it was just straight on Goku and Frieza fighting during that section. It was just really well done. I was impressed. And you could tell the animations were really touched up because the fighting is more crisp, more fluid. It's more constant as opposed to how like very slow moving how early DBZ was, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
So I gotta say, like people need to watch Kai. I think it's the best way for people who don't want to dive that deep into the series to watch it. So
Nice.
I will say I ruined one of my discs, and I'm not too happy about it for the Blu-ray because my PlayStation 4 is stupid. This is why I watched it on my Xbox. For whatever reason, it kept ejecting the CD or the Blu-ray, so I kept putting it back in, and a couple of the times the Blu-ray wouldn't go back in all the way. It wouldn't take, so I would just like kind of shove it in all the way, and then it would just like kind of like not slide into the disc tray. It eventually scratched that disc up, so I had
man.
to order the second set of 4 discs again off of eBay for like $11 pre-owned. So I wasn't too happy about that. So that's that. Other than that, played NHL and Smash Brothers the other day with some friends. That was a lot of fun. Played a lot of Mario Tennis last night, which was pretty fun. Most of that stuff's gonna be in what we played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting school in a week and a half. I'm really excited. I might be a bouncer at a bar.
Nice.
So that might happen. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, so things are going well, Dan. How about you?
I don't have too much to talk about. I got attacked by bees this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, so I was string trimming in our backyard. We've got a weed patch in front of our swing set that was our raised bed garden, and all the wood rotted, so I just took it down, and I would never ended up replacing it. I was supposed to dig out all that extra dirt and flatten it and level it so I could mow over it, but I just never did. I don't get outside much in our house because of all the kids that are hard to keep track of, so I just never got around to it. So it's a tall weed patch, and I was weed whacking it, and I felt what felt like a stone that was flung off the weed whacker right onto my shin. So I kept going for a second, and then I saw a swarm of bees just all around me. Luckily, I only ended up getting 6 stings, so I got 1 on each arm, and then 2 on each ankle.
How bad did it hurt?
It hurt a lot more than I thought it would. Because, you think about when you're a kid and you get stung by a bee and it's like the most painful thing in the world. It wasn't that, but the stings hurt pretty bad for a brief second. But then, for the rest of the day, they burned really badly.
Yeah.
But, by that night, they were almost gone. And then the next morning, I still have them a little bit. They're a little bit itchy, but they haven't hurt since the first day. It was Sunday, so.
How far did you run?
I ran fast. I do not move fast, but I ran fast. And I'm pretty sure, the neighbors were out on their deck. So they must have been like, what the heck? So I had my wife text them to tell them to stay away from that spot. Because the bee, I looked out after I ran in the house. And, the bees were all obviously furious. I was like, don't go near there for a while. I dropped my string trimmer. My string trimmer ran in the yard for a couple hours. Because I didn't want to go anywhere near it. So, be careful. Reefer says he's allergic. Yes, that's scary. I didn't know, actually. I had only been stung once before, so I was kind of on red alert for a little while, but they went away on their own with no problems. I didn't even swell up that much. Which is good.
That's crazy. I would be terrified if I saw that.
So one of these days I've got to get over to the hardware store and get some bee spray so I can kill them. You could do it with fire too, but I don't want to start a fire anywhere. Although it's done nothing but rain here for the past couple weeks, so it's not like I would catch my yard on fire or anything.
Yeah, you would just burn bees. Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some lumber, but.
Yeah. So that was fun. I really don't think I have anything else worth mentioning. Because like I said, it's just rained here.
I don't know how you feel, Dan, but I'm actually pretty sick of the summertime.
I'm never sick of summer.
No?
No.
I don't like heat. I really don't.
See, I do, but only because one of the things that my whole family likes to do is swim.
True.
All the kids and the dog. So that's one of the few things we can do kind of easily as an entire 6-person and 1 dog unit.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Just when I was mowing that lawn today, I was just...
Yeah, that's different.
I wanted to kill everybody.
I should get a trailer and I'll bring over my riding lawnmower and do it with my riding lawnmower.
It's just when you're in the side yard with the tree roots, it's just so frustrating. And there's no auto drive, and I just want to throw the mower through the house.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just so annoying.
Okay. I don't really have anything else to talk about for my week. So, there is one thing I did want to touch on briefly. There's a show coming out tomorrow on Netflix called Disenchantment that I'm actually going to watch, believe it or not. I don't watch things. So, it's an animated series from the makers of The Simpsons and Futurama. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a fantasy setting. So it looks really cool. I'm actually excited to watch that. So, I don't know if I'll watch it tomorrow or if it'll be an episode here and there, but I am actually gonna watch something new.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, let's get into what we played. Will, what'd you play?
What should I start with? Have you played more Octopath Traveler?
I did, yes. I played maybe another 6 or 8 hours.
So how far did you? Because I finished one character's chapter 4, so I finished a story, and it was Ophelia.
I'm partway through the chapter 3s. I kind of got sidetracked doing some of the side quests, so that's what I've been working on. But I just finished Therion's chapter 3.
I really think the stories are well done.
Yeah.
I've done all of Ophelia's. I'm on chapter 4 of Therion, Primrose, and Honnet. I think Honnet's story might be the worst so far.
Okay.
And not because it's bad, but it's because I think with all the other characters, like with Primrose, Therion, Ophelia, there's a lot of changing and twists and turns that happen in their stories. And I feel like with Honnet, it's just kind of she's just kind of the same sort of character from chapter 1 all the way, and so far through 3, in my opinion. Not that's a negative, but I just think there's just...
If you had to pick the worst one, that would be it.
That or Tressa, but Tressa's does a little bit different because she's a more of a lighthearted story,
Right.
whereas it seems like every other character kind of goes through some really personal struggles. With Tressa, she's just I'm gonna make money, so it's just
Which
kind of like
that's how I would be. That's why she's one of my favorite. That's why she's my favorite character. Out of the
It's
game.
more of the tonal shift that like maybe Hanet is the worst. 'Cause I don't really want to deck or dock Tressa's story because
Right.
it's not dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think that's very fair. So I would say probably Hanet is the worst, even though Hanet as a character is very useful.
Right.
But yeah, I really love the game. I put 70 hours in it officially, so that's probably I've lost probably 10 hours of gameplay time, so I'm probably at 80
Wow.
hours total. I'm gonna hit 100 for this game, and then I go to Hollow Knight, try
Back
to
to
finish
Hollow
that
Knight.
up. Yeah, I honestly feel bad. Hollow Knight's kind of fallen by the wayside because I want to do that. Dead Cells. I really want to do God of War. Pick that back up.
Are you gonna play Monster
Uh,
Hunter before next week?
if Corey's on and you both play it, probably not. To be honest,
Well, don't you have it on PS4 or
X-
Xbox?
Xbox. But to be honest, I thought my window to play that game is when it first came out with friends.
Uh-huh.
Now I have nobody to play with, so it's just
Gotcha.
kind of like that's one of those games that I want to play with somebody because the last time I played a Monster Hunter, well, it is a little bit more streamlined now. It's just like I was so lost and confused, and I got bored really quickly.
Okay.
If I can round up friends to play with, I might play. But like I said, I really just want to get through the games that I really, really like first,
Uh-huh.
so I can play more of the games that I really want. Because I want to do Dead Cells as well. We're not far off from Spider-Man, which I'm borrowing from somebody, and then Spyro
Fall
Reignited is going to be here
the
soon.
fall games are gonna start hitting pretty soon here.
Yeah, so it's just like I really want to get through a lot of that stuff. I'm gonna pick up Dragon Ball Z Fighters again, and play. I actually was playing that a little bit today, so there's a lot of things that I want to play. So,
Nice.
and not a lot of time right now.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, so that's Octopath. I played Mario Tennis. That's a lot of fun playing with a friend. I will say, I also played Mario Kart as well.
Hmm.
It's really hard using the Joy-Con because even though my hands are fairly small, those controllers are pretty small when you
Yes, they
just
are.
use one. So while I think it's the best controller when you have two Joy-Cons, it's very difficult when you have just one.
Half a Joy-Con. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know the GameCube adapter works for all of the Switch games, right?
I think so.
So I need to get my GameCube adapter back so I can use that for multiplayer with friends, I
Yeah.
think. Because it's just like when you're doing Mario Kart and trying to drift and use items, it's really difficult with the small controller. So
Yeah, I agree.
um, I will say 200cc in Mario Kart 10 is so hard, but I figured out a way to do it.
You just have to break every now and again.
Drive assist.
Oh, yeah,
I
I could
cheat
see that.
because what happens is I'll start going off the edge and the game's just like nope and kind of pulls me back to the center or directs me towards the center.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
true.
I actually three-starred a couple cups playing some friends the other day because I was able to I had drive assist and I didn't tell them I had that on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was able to pull off some victories with it.
Very nice.
So that's a lot of fun. Tennis is a lot of fun playing with friends because we tried the swing mode. I don't know if you've ever tried the
I
swing
did.
mode.
I tried it once. Yeah.
Hard.
I couldn't get the hang of it. It just didn't make sense to me. I know
Nope,
there's
same
there's
here.
there's a way to do it and do it right, but I couldn't get the hang of it. So
Well, when I would like walk around, like try to walk around and hit, like it just wouldn't register right, and it would hit the ball like way out of bounds and stuff like that.
yeah,
So like while it was fun, I was like, all right, let's do the normal play, like the normal play mode, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
You being able to use the other character, like we set it to where one racket breaks, you lose. So like if you got your special power up and broke their racket, they'd be done. They'd lose immediately. So a couple when I was getting it handed it to me, my
uh,
friend didn't know that was in the game. So what I did was like on a 6-1, he was 1 point from winning. I was able to use my power up and break his racket and win. So doing stuff like that is a lot of fun. The tricky characters are they're tough.
yeah.
Boo's the curve on Boo's hit is crazy.
Yeah. See, I use Rosalina for the most part. She has a little bit of a curve, but it's not as wicked as Boo's curve.
Yeah, and we were using Blooper too, and Blooper's curve wasn't as wicked either. So yeah, I kind of started to figure out what characters are good. Bowser Jr. is still broken, by the way.
Oh, still?
Oh my God, there was nothing out of his range.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Um, but I really enjoy the tricky characters the most, like Rosalina, Blooper, Boo. I have a lot of fun with them. I also really liked Yoshi. So
Okay. Yeah, that's why you have that game, is for that, you know,
yeah.
for that reason. That's why I got it, because we play it with the kids occasionally. So
Yeah, the content in the game not too filled out, but the actual gameplay is really like one of the best tennis games they have. So
it's a fun party game.
yep. Spike's also another character I really liked. But let's see, there's that. Not really gonna talk about I announced my my return to NHL the past I think it was 2 weeks ago. So I've been playing with my friends again. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I had retired from playing the game because of too much jank.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
And one of my friends got so good, like he knew how to glitch the goalie out and score on wrist shots from far out, and it infuriated me. So enough time had passed where he hadn't been playing so much. So I was like, all right, it's been a year. It's time for me to get back into it. You know, I'm going to get the new NHL game. So I've been playing. I've been holding my own. I've been winning more than I've been losing, which has been good. So I've been doing that. Picked up Dragon Ball Fighters. Really nothing to mention there. Mainly Octopath Traveler.
Okay. Nice.
So that's my gaming week for the most part.
Yeah. I as I said, I also played a bunch of Octopath Traveler. I still love that game. It's so good.
Yeah.
But I played Monster Hunter. Corey ended up buying it. Actually, I was gonna buy it, but I don't have the extra funds right now, so I couldn't. So he bought it, and I installed it through his family share. It runs amazingly well on my computer, which is kind of dated at this point. It's I've got a 7-year-old processor, and even my graphics card is 3 or 4 years old now. So, but it ran surprisingly well. It's an awesome game. I had an awesome time with it. I'm not going to get into the details because we'll talk about that next week. My only complaint is that it didn't. And I don't know if it's just my game or if it's in general. It didn't run ultra wide. It still had the black bars on the side. So it was only 1920 by 1080 instead of 2560 by 1080. So that was a little bit frustrating because the HUD seems a little bit cluttered for my liking. And again, that's just because I'm mostly used to the ultra wide where everything's like spaced out a little bit more, and where your character is on the middle of the screen is more open than a normal 1920 by 1080 picture. So I think that's personal preference. I never looked into it on how to get it working, or if other people were having the same problem, or if it's just not in the game yet. I never got that far, but yeah, I really did enjoy the game so far, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a lot in before next week's episode when Corey comes on to talk about it. So good stuff.
Oh, I forgot to mention We Happy Few.
Oh yeah.
I didn't play very much of it. What I like about the game is the storytelling is kind of cool, but the rest of the gameplay just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I just have fatigue from the open world survival type of thing, but it's just like not very fun to play.
Yeah, I read a couple of reviews on it when we were thinking about doing an episode on it, and a lot of people said it puts a lot of stuff in the game, but it's almost like too much. It's trying to do too much instead of focusing on the handful of things that make the game good.
Yeah, if they did a linear survival game, more story focused, I think this game would do pretty well. It's just they really ham-fisted an open world into it, and like I don't find any of the side missions that interesting. The procedurally generated cities and stuff wasn't too into. Yeah, just it sucks because this game is the classic example of wow, this trailer is incredible, and then the really just like bad performance game wise. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It's kind of got No Man's Sky syndrome a little bit. Nah, I don't think it's that bad though.
Feature creep.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this will be a game in 2 years from now where it'll be like now's the We Happy Few next and it's time to get in.
Yeah.
So honestly, this is probably one of the games that I've been most disappointed with in the past few years, which sucks because I was really hyped to play this game, but not a fan right now. I'll try to give it more of a shot, but as of right now, nah.
Okay.
Can't recommend it.
Huh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's time for feedback.
Let's do it.
Call it up here. All right. So the first piece of feedback is from Tate, who says, "Sup athletes, so I've had hardly any time to play games, but when I have, I decided to dive back into Skyrim for the heck of it, even though I tried that a while back and took 10 steps with my guy and quit. So I decided to try something totally different and new to me that I've never done before, and it's gotten me out of my gaming funk, actually, which is nice. I made a mage woman. I never made a mage, not a woman before, as my character in a video game. So it was really new to me, and I love it. Didn't realize how fun being a mage is after you get some more powerful spells, and the being a woman part doesn't really make much of a difference, but it kind of does in a way for me, so I've been enjoying that. I also got back into my Stardew Valley character, and man, what a freaking game that is. So relaxing, but also makes you feel so productive at the same time. Love that game. I am 2 items away from having the town center all unlocked and finished, so I'm looking forward to getting that done. Will, I listened back to the Dead Island argument, is episode 10, so go back and enjoy the circus.
Thank you.
I will take Mirror's Edge as my game from last week. Thank you. Hope you all have a great week. Tate, I'm glad you found a way out of your gaming funk, man. I've had the Skyrim itch lately, to be honest. I kind of want to give Skyrim a go again. I'm not going to because I have so many other things I'm trying to play. But I have had the itch because I never played through a lot of the extra content, the expansions and the DLC. I don't know that I might not have played any of it. So, did you want to talk about that, Will?
Yeah, I was actually in the process of watching the video. Did you watch the whole video?
I did. Okay. We covered it a little bit last week, but the stories I've actually progressed. That's stuff in the chat. So, real quick, we'll talk about. We'll get back to Tate's email in just a second, because Corey's in wants to talk about Philip Mewson from IGN. So I don't know if we had covered this when we talked about it last week, but he posted an apology video on YouTube, kind of saying that it wasn't intentional and calling out Kotaku. Yeah, we'll make it Corey's. This is Corey's feedback. That his plagiarism wasn't intentional, and that Kotaku could go ahead and try to find more examples of it happening, which, as of now, there's been a lot of examples of it happening, and a lot of it is not even changed a little bit. It's blatant ripoffs from other things. So, go ahead, Will. I know you wanted to talk about it.
Well, I just kind of saw the beginning of his video, and I was immediately annoyed by his intro where he goes does a sigh, he's so stressed, and then he just goes, if you're here, I'm sure you heard about the allegations to, the plagiarism allegations. It's come on, it's stop acting like you didn't do it. It's very obvious, and then for them to find more. Come on. A lot of people would kill to be a gaming journalist, and here you are ripping off smaller review sites because you're too lazy.
He seems like a douche.
He is. I wonder if we can get him on here.
Probably not. Not at this point.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe in a few years.
Call him a douche, yeah. Yeah, IGN actually went through and scrubbed all of his stuff from their website too, because some of the other stuff that he had done for IGN was like I said, was blatantly plagiarized. I'm sure he had some original content, but yeah, most of it was ripped off from other places. I still never listened to Kotaku Split Screen when they talked about why someone would do that, but I don't know. I still don't know. I don't know if his laziness. It almost seems like he's not fully aware of what he's doing.
Isn't that what he wants you to think?
Probably, but there's some people that are so into themselves that they don't realize it's that they're doing something wrong. Like I feel like it's a crazy narcissism that he's got going on there.
Yeah, I could see that. I just like, as I said, so many people would kill to be a video game reviewer for IGN, and how do you just piss that away like that? I don't know.
I have no idea. It's
Like,
crazy.
I do poor game reviews all the time.
Well,
On here, like
I've
whatever,
always,
do it.
I've always said we don't really do reviews per se. Most of our stuff is first impressions because we don't because we don't often get to finish games before we talk about them here. So it's mostly early impressions.
Yeah.
Colin Moriarty's take. What was that, Corey? Corey said that was Colin Moriarty's take. That he's a narcissist. Narcissism?
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Oh, okay.
I remember Eric and Corey talking about it in the chat. I just didn't catch up with it until today. So
Gotcha.
I was a little bit behind on all of that because this all happened earlier in the week, end of last week maybe.
Yep, it was like last weekend and early this week.
Yeah, the 11th is when this video was posted of a guy breaking down his apology, his sorry not sorry apology.
Yeah, nice.
So
yeah, it's very weird, all of it. Very, very weird.
Yeah, there's no place for people like that. So
no, I agree. All right, let me call up another video real quick in the.
Corey said that he doesn't realize what he's doing is wrong.
Yeah, it's. I could see that. It's like I said, it's like a narcissism thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm glad they fired him and didn't try to.
Try to backpedal or whatever.
Backpedal or keep him remove his reviews, but keep him on staff. Like I'm glad they just had no nonsense and just got rid of him.
Yeah, it seems like the right move because, as I said, he seems like a tool.
One last thing, I remember seeing on Reddit that the last two people that had his position at IGN actually ended up working for Nintendo. I can't remember the two people that did it. Because I'm not familiar with IGN stuff that much because I never go there, but the two people who had his Nintendo position of IGN ended up going to work for Nintendo. So he kind of
before him.
Before him, yeah, the two people before him.
Eric talked about them because he listened to Nintendo Voice Chat, right? It was the people really liked the guy that was before him, and whose name I can't recall.
I wonder if I can.
Do a search, see if you can find it. Corey might know. I can't for the life of me think of his name.
I feel like one of their names starts with an O.
Yeah, Oscar.
That sounds that I was gonna say Oscar, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So back to Tate's email. I at one point rocked a mage character in Skyrim, and it was a blast. It's really hard at the beginning. That's like expert mode for Skyrim, because you suck as a new mage in Skyrim. But it's all worth it once you get all those powerful spells and stuff. Jose Ortega, Jose Ortega.
Jose Ortega, and then I can't remember the other person. But it was another person who ended up moving on to work for Nintendo.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, I think he was really well loved, Ortega.
Yep.
Everyone liked him a lot.
I guess he was a math teacher too for a bit.
Oh, really?
At like a high school or something. So.
Nice.
So yeah, Jose Ortega was definitely one of them. Thanks, okay. Corey.
Yes, I appreciate that, Corey. Yeah. So back into Stardew Valley. That's also a great game. I always fear to slide back into Stardew Valley and start playing that instead of other things.
While he's here, Corey, Dragon Bay Farm, come on.
Yeah. The multiplayer update's out for PC now.
Yeah, we were supposed to do that a while back.
It started as another Thumbstick Athlete series.
Yeah, we really dropped the ball on because we were going to stream it too. I remember we had it all set up and we haven't done it since.
I'm free at night, any night after 9 o'clock. Oh, Sunday nights are taken because me and Val do rookie camp. Oh, I forgot to mention we did Firewatch for this week's rookie camp. It was fun times. Made me want to play it again. Play through the whole thing. But anyway, Dead Island Argument is episode 10, and he'll take Mirror's Edge for his game. So I will send that to you after this episode's over, definitely. Next is from Idaho Jake, who says, "Hey guys, sitting here at Fort Leonard Wood, waiting for my son's graduation to start. We spent yesterday bowling and chilling. Next, he gets shipped to Oklahoma for AITs. Then he might come home for some leave time before he goes to whatever base he will be calling home. Now for Idaho Jake's This Day in Gaming History. Tic Tac Pet came out for the Commodore PET CBM. 1982, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was released on the Intellivision. 1993, Tiny Toons Adventure came out on the NES. Corey had that, right? Tiny Toons? Was that the one where you play as Buster Rabbit and you do the football thing?
Yes, I think that's it. Because I'm familiar with that game.
Okay. And then 2016, Conan Exiles came to Xbox's game preview. Thanks, guys, and have a great day. So that's awesome, Jake.
Yeah.
He sent this, I think it was this morning, so probably the graduation is over at this point. I've never seen one of those, and I do want to see one at some point. Someone graduating from basic into the service.
Yeah, one of my friends just went through it. I want to say a week ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
And she's actually also going to AIT. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's awesome. Tell him we said congrats, Jake.
Yeah.
We're glad he's chosen to serve our country.
More manly than the rest of us.
Yeah, well, I was way too much of a pansy to do something like that. And I'm sure my kids will all be too much of a pansies to do something like that.
I pout when I have to go to my cushy job.
Yeah, cushy in a way.
I complain about it a lot, but I get away with so much.
Yeah, and there's no danger other than maybe slipping on a wet floor.
Yeah.
But there's the mental toll it takes on you.
It can cause mental illness, that place. That is true.
Yep. Okay, so that was feedback. Let's do our game giveaway. Where's my...
2 people?
2 people. Tate is 1, Jake is 2.
I could include Corey, but I know you won't let me.
Well, if Corey wants a game, he could just go get it from his own game library.
So the winner is 1.
1, so that's Tate. Tate wins again.
Tate and Jake might have won the most.
Let's go back here. Did I put... Okay. I'm calling up the game winners list.
Was it 150?
Corey said he's good most weekdays. Is that for Stardew Valley, Corey?
Yes. We should try to do it one of these nights together.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm up for it. I'd love to do that.
Get Dragon Bay Farm going. Maybe I'll beat the game that way.
Tate again. Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Numero 1 is 38.
38. 38 is Tumblestone. Not familiar with that one.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
111.
111. 111 is Jazz Punk.
That's a good one.
Yeah, familiar with that.
Number 6.
6. Wow. All the way at the top. The Banner Saga.
Just in time to start before the third one comes out, right? Or is it out?
Third one's out. It's been out for a couple weeks now.
Oh.
What's up, DT Strike?
How you doing tonight?
We're just doing our game giveaway.
Yep. Next is 143.
143 is...
This has you going up and down.
Greed Corp. No, I don't know that one at all.
Last but not least, 27.
27.
I'm going to look up Greed Corp.
27 is Medal of Honor. That's the bad one from EA. So, ye be warned, Tate. Okay, so Tate, your choices for the game giveaway are 38, which is Tumblestone, 111, which is Jazz Punk, 6, which is the Banner Saga, 143, which is Greed Corp, and 27, which is Medal of Honor. So
I want to say on Steam, Greed Corp has an 88% like. It's a turn-based strategy game. Looks pretty cool.
that is cool. And Tate, I will send you, when we finish up this episode, I will send you Mirror's Edge. That is on Origin. So yeah, that's the rub there. Oh no, maybe it's Steam. I don't know. I'll look. I'll let you know ahead of time. Oh, we just had a notification. Oh, Shadow Fox is now following. Thanks for following, Shadow Fox 13.
Yeah, thank you.
Unfortunately, we're just about to finish our episode for this week, but yeah. Therion, Hannah, and Ophelia. Okay.
Oh my God, that's basically my team.
That was your team.
Yeah, I had Primrose instead of Cyrus as the fourth, but
he said he's about to pick up Cyrus. Cyrus has a really, really valuable battle skill that I won't talk about until you get him. But yeah,
when you don't have
it's hard not to have him on your team.
Yep.
Even if you have one of his skills that you can teach other characters, it's still not quite the same. So
yep, definitely.
I will leave you with that. With that being said, we are going to be covering Monster Hunter World next week. Corey will be on for that. At least I hope he is. He had planned on being on for it. I'm going to play as much as I can over the next week. I've probably put 4 or 5 hours into it now. One thing I will say that Corey mentioned in our group chat was that he's glad he played some of the other Monster Hunter games because it gave him context for what he's doing. He didn't have to figure all that stuff out so far. And I agree totally with that. I'm glad I'm not a super veteran, but I played quite a bit of Monster Hunter 4 and Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I played a decent amount of, so that definitely helped with picking things up for this game. It's not as much thrown at you all at once, so that's good. And yeah, that's everything. That'll do it for episode 369 of the Thumbstick Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
I'm Will.
Thanks for listening, and get out of my basement. Okay. That was a nice episode.
I'll say it. It didn't reflect in our how many are saying it's watching now, but we have 10 people in here.
Now? Nice.
So 9, yeah.
Nice.
We have a good amount. Thanks, Corey.
My standard team, and I rotate this out a little bit, but I started with Primrose. So Primrose has been through everything with me so far. And then I like to have Cyrus in there. Primrose has the same abilities as Cyrus for me too. So I have 2 mage nukers.
Yep.
And then I like to have Tressa in there too, and then Ophelia. So I don't have any big tanks of any kind, but I try to use Primrose and Ophelia's summon abilities to fill that gap. I try to have more physical, a sword and a spear characters from them. So that helps a little bit, but not always.
Therion's really helpful with his stealing.
All of the abilities I find are useful. For various reasons, but just the way all that stuff comes together, I love the game. And when I go to a new town, I end up eventually having everyone in my party so I can experience all the different things. I have Therion steal, I have Alphen and Cyrus do the get the information. And then Ulberich and Hanet with their challenge and provoke abilities. So, and then Primrose and Ophelia with their following.
It's crazy to me that people don't like the game.
Yeah.
I just I don't get it.
Yeah.
Is there not being one main story that bothersome to I don't know.
Not to me, and as I said, that's one of the things I like about it. Although we'll talk about it next week when Corey's on, but he didn't care much for the ending of Octopath, so I'll be interested to see what the ending is that he didn't like.
That's fine. I've experienced worse endings.
And how much I should argue with him about it.
I'm gonna go hard at him. I'll try to beat it.
We are gonna have a spoiler episode once at least me, Corey, and Will finish. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if Eric's played any more Octopath Traveler.
I think he plugs away at it.
Okay, so if he's if he wants to finish it and be on the episode too, it all depend.
It's one of those games where I don't foresee Eric finishing, but I foresee him playing it a little longer.
Yeah, I agree.
So we finished quick today.
Yeah, I mean the episode was only close to 120.
Oh wow!
But it was all main segment. It was like 45 minutes of main segment and then just short for the rest.
Also, real quick, I went back to old episodes on iTunes just to see. Is our full backlog not on iTunes?
I don't know. I think iTunes limits it. I know they're there. Like everything's still up.
It's weird because I have I listened through 1, but I have 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I went back to get 10 just now, and I can't go there.
Yeah,
I don't know why it's like that.
I feel like one of the like there was a couple episodes that are just like gone. I feel like one of our listeners brought that up not that long ago, or maybe a year ago, that there's like mystery gone episodes.
Well, son of a gun, Dan! I was able to get. Okay, I think I figured out how to.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, everything's there. A lot of times the RSS feed gets like screwed up and stuff will disappear for a while, or it won't show up when a new episode goes up. I've had that happen to me too, or it won't show up on Stitcher, but it'll be everywhere else, or it won't show up on iTunes, but it'll be everywhere else, and it'll take like 4 or 5 days for it to show up on like Google Play Podcasts or Google Podcasts or whatever. I don't know. It's all ridiculous.
So for anybody who cares, which is probably nobody in this chat, what I did, there's a search function. So if you go to search and search Thumbstick athletes and go in that way, it doesn't work. But if you're on the Listen Now page, and you go to our podcast page where you click, episodes, and you go to available episodes, you can go all the way back through our backlog.
Huh. So does that mean those are streamed and not downloaded? Is that what it is?
I'm downloading them right now, so I don't know what differentiates them.
Huh.
I think I've actually been on a tirade against Apple of late. I'm really fed up with how terrible their software is all the time.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's so bad.
Huh.
So it's probably them just not being very good at this.
Yeah. You should get a BlackBerry Key 2. The physical keyboard.
It's hard because
yeah, I understand.
There's everything's on my iPhone. It's just, here. I'll run the story real quick, then you can go. So Apple Music.
Yeah.
I have that. For whatever reason, my store origin got changed. So, I'm in the United States, so that's the store that I use. For whatever reason, it got changed to another country. And the only way for me to switch back was if I canceled my Apple Music subscription. Don't know how that makes sense, but that's the only way you could do it. So I canceled it because you couldn't listen to music that way because it says you're not on the store where you downloaded this, so on and so forth. So that happened. I had to wait about 8 days to be able for the cancellation to go through because I couldn't cancel immediately. I had to wait that time for it to end up canceling before I could switch the store back. So I had to use Spotify, and I'm not a huge Spotify fan.
Right.
So the day passed, I got the cancellation, I changed my store back to what it was, and when I went to go verify my student email address to be able to get the $5 discount for Apple Music, it told me that account was already in use.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, I'm just trying to verify my student eligibility. So I went through Apple support, got nowhere with them, and it was so frustrating, and I was like, well, how can you not solve this issue?
Yeah.
I didn't give them a hard time, but I was yelling at my computer screen about it. So I had to go through the third-party thing, which is Unidays, which is does student stuff like that. So like you get student discounts on things. And they were able to fix all of that on Apple's behalf because Apple couldn't do it. I don't know why, but they were able to do it. They were wonderful. They got my eligibility back there. They verified it. They changed my school email to be preferred to my actual Gmail, so I don't have to go to school email. They did all of that for me in one email that took 20 minutes for them to answer. All I had to do was email them for my school email for them to know that it was me.
Wow.
That's all I had to do. And I was like,
that's amazing.
Apple couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I was fed up with them.
Yeah.
On top of my service issues with the iPhone, it's
Yeah.
just I'm done with it.
Gotcha.
So
are you gonna get a different phone, or what's your?
no, because like I said, everything's on my iPhone right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hope. I'm either gonna go back after I'm done with my X in 2 years. I might go to maybe an 8, go back in time, or if one of the new phones is actually really impressive,
Yeah.
do that.
I honestly think I might go mid-range next time I get a phone. Because
Yeah.
I've got the Galaxy Note 8, which I love, but I'm using my phone like less and less. So I think I would be happy with like a mid-range. That they make a lot of good mid-range Android phones nowadays. So
Yeah, I mean, if you don't use your phone that much, it's definitely worth.
yeah,
Save money.
been cutting back.
Phones are so expensive now, so.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, time to go. Those in the chat, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week, Thursday, as usual, probably about 8:30. We'll be talking about Monster Hunter. So thanks for joining us.
Good night, everybody.